Yeah, you're clapping now. Yeah, just wait. Thank you, Dina, and thanks to everybody who's worked with us over the last 6 months to make this thing possible. It is just a real honor to be here. It's an honor to be like literally in this room. I mean, I've been in this room twice before at Treefort. Michael and Jen Seaman dragged us out to see a show I didn't think we would enjoy, death metal. It was great, you know, and in March, Dina dragged me out to see a show I didn't think I would enjoy, the Boise State Student Concert, and it was great. The students are fantastic, and being in this room makes me think about Eric Gilbert's clarion call, this image of a Treefort for everyone. And I just think that is so powerful because that fundamentally is what we're doing here today. Because music is for everyone, right? So music, you know, there's a lot of talk about music business, music industry, and music isn't just business, it's just not money. Music isn't a commodity, music isn't just entertainment. Music's not college football. Music's humanity. Music is who we are, music is how we love and how we grieve and how we process our fears, how we understand ourselves in the world, how we come together, what we look forward to. Music is health. And we know that there's a fundamental structural disconnect between the importance and power of music and how that is reflected in the economic structures, especially in this country. We know that musicians are not paid enough. We know that the music businesses and organizations that play that vital role of connecting music with audiences are in stress and may not be sustainable. And so we come together as a community of activists, of policymakers, researchers, musicians, venue owners, students. We come together in this ongoing conversation about how can we collectively build stronger, more equitable, and more resilient music ecosystems. And we are humbled that we not only have the opportunity, but we have the obligation to come together to try to do this work, which is hard and long and very incremental. So we're in Boise for a bunch of reasons. One of the main reasons is this kind of beautiful vision of this Cascadia music corridor. Like, what would it look like to build contiguous, meaningful infrastructure across the region that leans into the beauty and the idiosyncratic nature of Alaska, Idaho, Washington, and Oregon, but recognizes also that for musicians that want to base a career in this region, for music businesses, there are some baked-in difficulties and challenges that don't exist like in my hometown of Washington, D.C. Geography, it's dangerous to tour out here sometimes, weather, remoteness, there's a lot. So we're excited that today is kind of the start of a conversation. And we're excited that we're going to be continuing this conversation, you know, over time, hopefully the years to come. And hopefully you are going to want to be part of driving that. Because we also know that there is no 5-point plan to solve the problems in music. There never has been, there never will be. But if we collectively can work at that intersection of what is incremental, what do we have control over, what is shovel ready, what can we do tomorrow, but also change the basic frame and mindset, we've done some really good work. So look, we've been doing this a really long time. It's kind of sad how long we've been doing this. And we've seen all of these changes. We've seen the transition in the music industry from analog to digital. We've seen the massive consolidation of commercial radio that took away local live commercial radio as a big player in the music marketplace. We've seen the growth of public radio in the non-commercial radio sector. We've seen the growth of streaming, the birth of podcasting, social media. We've seen all these changes. And it's really important, I think, to recognize that as we move forward, our job, my generation's job, we don't want to or should not try to shoehorn the new realities of how people share and engage with culture and entertainment. We can't shoehorn that in the way we think about the way things used to work. We need to do a fundamental transition. The kids who are here today, the Boise State University students who are volunteering today, this is the first generation of music fans that have grown up with the idea that you could have the entire history of recorded music in your pocket on your phone on demand. That if you are aspiring to be a musician, you have access to recording tools, you have global distribution with the click of a finger. That's unthinkable to my generation. And so we need to listen to them, we need to empower them, and we need to figure out how we can support that generation as we move forward. And a lot of that is what we're doing today. You're going to hear from some big thinkers, some big ideas. You're going to hear from Neptune and Dessa and Daniel Pak. Jamie Duffy. I mean, the speaker list today is extraordinary. And we're going to be provoked and we're going to be challenged. And hopefully we're going to be inspired to want to do this work. So the thing I want to talk about quickly is that money is not going to solve all the problems of the music community. But money is part of the solution. And just as a thought experiment, it's really hard right now for musicians to have access to the capital resources necessary to manage and run a music career. Expenses are high, money is tight. You used to get maybe tour support from an independent record label. That's not really a thing anymore. So just for fun, what would be a transformational amount of money? What would $30,000? For most musicians got an unrestricted grant of $30,000. Could they help pay the rent, pay childcare, fix the van, buy some gear? That could be transformational. But we don't think that way in this country, right? We don't do that. We do other things. Like college football. College football is great. I love college football. Tomorrow night, I'm going to see Jaden Daniels win the Heisman. Apologies to the Bo Nix fans in the house. And college football's got a lot to do with what we love about music. It's about community. It's about something to cheer for, something to look forward to. You can buy the merch. You can respect the effort that puts on the product. I mean, it's great. But think about money in college football. Like, we need to talk about Jimbo. Jimbo Fisher, pretty good coach. Won a national title at Florida State. Went to Texas A&M. Couldn't get over the hump. They fired him. So, like the way we do it in this country, if you're fired from being a college football coach, they pay you the rest of your contract. Jimbo Fisher is going to get paid $76 million for failing at his job. And it's not just Jimbo. Indiana University, University of New Mexico, Houston, Boise State, lots of public institutions are firing their football coach. And they're going to pay out their contract. These are the choices we make as a country. So I would like to introduce as a thought experiment a concept that, let's call it the Jimbo Index. How many musicians could get a $30,000 grant at the equivalent level of how much our public institutions are paying football coaches who are deemed to be bad at their job? This year, we could give out over 3,600 grants to musicians at that level. So these are choices, these are values. This is kind of what we want to do as a society. And I think, you know, we need to be willing to have that culture shift conversation, because it is about resources and priorities and values. And we can't, again, let music be put into a box as an entertainment thing that's like TV or something. It's different. This, you'll be hearing in a little bit from Stephen Parker from the National Independent Venue Association. And as many of you know, NIVA went from being formed to being a force in about 6 months. Save Our Stages campaign that many of the people in this room were drivers in, that led to $14.25 billion in federal investment to save stages during the pandemic. That is more money than the combined 50-year history of the National Endowment of the Arts and National Endowment of the Humanities in one bill. So don't tell us we can't find money. I mean, let's just not do it during a pandemic, right? I mean, let's think about money. So I think about what is the critical infrastructure that we need as we move forward into this digital world. I think about the crisis in cultural journalism. I think about the loss of alternative weeklies. I think about the struggles facing the public media ecosystem as they try to figure out the future as we move into a post-terrestrial radio world. I think about the vulnerability of stages like this room and the economic model. And I think about the need collectively to come together and stake the claim on why this stuff is so important and what we're going to need to do, not only so it can survive, but can thrive. It can thrive in the context of not what my generation thinks we need, but what the younger generations know we need. So I got to go see Boy Genius this summer, and that really, it hit me. It hit me really hard. It's 20,000 kids at Meriwether Post Pavilion, and on one level, it was like, here is this band that was not created in a lab. This was not from some corporate boardroom dreaming up superstar artists. These are These are 3 artists that have been working for years on their craft. They've grown up with technology. They have a deep understanding of the history of music. You hear it in their songs. You hear the Joni Mitchell, Leonard Cohen, Elliott Smith, Yo La Tengo, Thin Lizzy, Aaron McCown, Taylor, right? It's all in there. They're building their legacy. And you know that those artists didn't get to the level they're at out of the box. When they were coming on, they had the support of public media to champion them, to connect them with audiences. They played the ladder of venues that Mark David so eloquently talks about. They played the small stages, so when they got to the big stage, they were ready, and they crushed it. And then I thought about that audience, those fans. I hadn't experienced anything like that. I was like, what is this? And the closest I could come up to is like U2 in like 1985. It was remarkable to see the connection between the band and the audience. But my generation, it wasn't a community per se. It was an artist, and there were consumers. And U2, God bless U2. But U2, with all their idealism and all of their fame and all of their power, they didn't create a social movement, they created a business. They created a huge business. And it's given a lot of people a lot of joy for a long time. But U2 kind of went from Bono marching on stage at Red Rocks on a 40-year march to the Sphere in Vegas. That's what they did. That's what my generation's done. Brian Eno's got this great quote. Brian Eno said, 10,000 people bought the first Velvet Underground record, but they all formed a band. And I was thinking about those 20,000 kids at Meriwether Post. And they're not consumers. They're a community. They're active. They're in the scene. They're DJs. They're promoters. They're videographers. They are seeing in that band their experience reflected. And they are ready to change the world. The question for us, what are we willing to do to help them? Thank you guys for coming. Thanks to all of our partners. We will. There it is. Have a great conference.